morning, Australia. Good evening, America. You're listening to Radio Toni, and I'm your host, Toni Lontis. This is the Everyday Business Show, and each week I'm joined by different hosts taking a different perspective on business. My co-host today is Oxana Johnson, an NLP expert and someone who can help you create the life you dream, the business you dream, and all things in between. Every business has a story. Every business has something to say. Join us each week, Radio Toni, Everyday Business, and Oxana Johnson. Now, let's get on with the show, and I'll introduce you to my amazing host, Oxana Johnson. Thanks for listening. Good morning, Australia. Good evening, America. And you are listening to us live and live streaming onto all socials. Now, my wonderful host, Oxana, is here with me today. And before the show started, we were having a little chat. And Oxana knows just what a technically challenged week I've had. And to combine with that, we have a surging coronavirus issue in the southern states of Australia. And Oxana herself lives in a hotspot in Sydney, Australia. And she she was commenting about the wearing of masks. And before we get onto the show, I just thought I'd say a big shout out to everyone out there. There's so much turmoil in the world today. We are being asked to do things that we would never normally do. And from that perspective, I'm a nurse, so wearing masks is almost second nature to me. And I actually don't have an issue wearing a mask because I spent most of my nursing life wearing a mask in the operating theatres in hospitals. But for Oxana, she herself has just purchased a mask that she can reuse. And I just wanted to let everyone know that you're going to be feeling uncomfortable at the moment. You're going to be feeling negative. You're going to be feeling horrible about the changes that are happening in our world at the moment. And that's why it's important that we are talking to people like Oxana, who can help you manage your way through some of these issues, and just letting you know that what you're feeling is a very normal part of what humanity as a whole is experiencing at the moment. So, Oxana, we're going to talk about managing state today, and I really want you to talk about some of those issues that people and people in business might be facing at the moment and how we manage our state. And thanks again for joining me live on Radio Toni.
My absolute pleasure. Good morning, good evening, good time of the day, I guess, wherever you are in this beautiful planet Earth while we still have it. So, yeah, we've kind of touched base in the last two shows, just talking through what NLP is and neuro linguistics programming and what it actually can do for you and for your life and for your business, as business is a part of everyone else's life, which is pretty common sense. We're gonna have a chat and just focus on twofold, right? So the state management, as you rightly mentioned, Toni, but also it's that other sequence of events of a bit of planning and strategy coming from it, right, after you actually have a grip of your mental state. So in terms of the managing state, there are a couple of techniques that are out there, but even to start from something very, very basic, just especially I was literally when we had a chat just then, right? And I told you, I am back on, like, my little mantra is that living one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time when required. And I am back on 1 hour at a time, just to check in with yourself and see what's up. And ultimately, just to focus and look again at the routines of what you're having. Depending on where you are at geographically, what is happening with the COVID stuff, what is happening with your health, what is happening with your family, just all of those different areas of your life. But generally, when we wake up, the only thing we can do for ourselves is just gently check in with yourself, right? Because
Yeah.
remember, I mentioned that too. Very, very often we ask this question of how are you to so many other people, but not necessarily
Yes.
to yourself. So just check in with yourself and be gentle. And again, you've mentioned it absolutely correctly. We are living in unprecedented times. It's pandemic. This
Yeah.
is not normal. The expectations that we
Yes.
had, even if we had this little window of opportunity, like I remember how we all were so excited that lockdown was kind of going to an end. But I felt
Finished.
that absolutely feeling of pain, internal pain, and this is how we're
Yes.
all connected on a collective level, on the unconscious. And I just felt that this is not, like, I don't think this is it. This is not it. This is just a part of
Yes.
it, part of the journey. So again,
This is just
focusing
the
on what
start.
we exactly, focusing on what we can control rather than what we can't control. So what we can definitely control is to take care of your own mental headspace and just to check in how
Yes.
you are, right? So when you just wake up, before you put on, and please, like even with the news situation, do not do it to
Yeah.
yourself first thing in the morning because you're so vulnerable. Can you imagine? You just woke up and you're
Yes.
beautiful and rested.
Yes.
Hopefully you're rested. And then the first thing you put
Yes.
into your brain is that whatever that piece of news is. But unfortunately, I don't think it's very positive at the moment, is it? So with news,
It's
I
not.
suggest I usually do it as a sandwich effect, right? Like you would do something nice to yourself. And then somewhere in the
Yes.
middle of the day, you will watch news and have a bit of a curfew, in terms of how long you actually allocate
That's
of
it.
what you're.
Mhm.
But also choose wisely what are you putting into your head in terms of what channels are you listening to. Even with social
Yeah.
media, it can be greatly helpful. But sometimes
Yeah.
if it's not reasonable and if it's not credible, then just don't do it to yourself. Anyway, so
Mhm.
sandwich effect. And then in the middle of the day, and then obviously you'll have not very close to when you go to sleep again, because you're so vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're about to go to bed and to sleep. And then we're wondering, why can't we not, we're tossing and turning. Well, just because you probably watched something you didn't really need to, did you? Anyway, so
Yeah.
checking in, going back to that state management, checking in with yourself before anything even gets into your headspace. How are you?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Are you sore? Are you restless? Are you happy? What sort of happy is that happy? What sort of restless is that restless? Just have a little chat with yourself so you already identify what is it the state of yourself very early in the morning. And then you can identify what is that needs to be done to actually soothe it. Are you anxious? Do we need to take care of a little bit of that anxiety and create a little bit of certainty?
Mm.
Do you need to be
Yeah.
grounded? Is it something that you need to tap into, that, the resources of what are you thankful for? Like, what is it? Practicing gratitude. It's a beautiful thing because we focus
Absolutely.
on so many things, which is overwhelming what we don't have. And we forget those things that we do have. So just acknowledge them and
Yeah.
feel that presence. Just let it sink in of actually life is actually not that bad. So what's happening at the moment? And then if you
Yeah.
do whatever your routine is at the moment, if you're practicing meditation and yoga or whatever the form of
Yes.
exercise, but what I definitely recommend is to move your body because that's when you are
Mm.
feeling connected, with that mind body connection
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah.
Then obviously
Yeah.
the entire, what you put into your body, that's going to be probably on a different topic. But again, a good thing is to have a glass of water before you even jump into
Yeah.
coffee, you know, just put some, because water, we are ultimately water and energy. So just have a
Yes.
bit of that refreshment and you'll see how different you will feel. Um, what I would like to focus on today is actually sharing a very simple technique of, it's an NLP technique and it's called clearing of the
Yes.
now. And
Yes.
basically, what it is, I'm going to talk you through it very, very simply in a simple way. But then, if
Yeah.
someone is interested, again, you know all of our details. So I would love to be able to share some information if that's what you
Yes.
require.
Yes.
But ultimately, clearing of the now is such a great, very simple, again, not rocket science. But what it does, it brings you to now. It makes you feel in control. It puts
Yes.
things in their little shelves or whatever files, whatever that you have your life organized in.
Uh-huh.
And I also would like just to probably kind of reframe and pre-frame this process in a sense of reminding what our beautiful unconscious mind is, right? So we have
It's
our
powerful.
5%. Exactly. We have our 5%, I call it our monkey mind, and that's our analytical conscious brain. That's the one that we
Mhm.
judge, they've basically sought that information, right? And the
Yeah.
unconscious mind, it's that vastness storage of anything and everything that ever happened to you, but it also runs your body,
Mm.
right? So all of those bodily functions, we don't really think and remind ourselves to breathe, to digest, and all of those things. It all just happens.
Yeah.
And this, just think of it for a second. This is all you, cupcake. Like all of those
Yes.
things, this is what you're doing with yourself, with
Mm-hmm.
your beautiful mind. Just imagine what you're capable of doing when you get into the habit of training. The same as like we train our body, that's how we train our
Yes.
minds and what are you capable of. So with the clearing of the now as a process, it's called a timeline process. And what a
Yes.
timeline is like a history. We have a timeline as well, right? We've come from
Mm.
somewhere and we're going somewhere.
Yes.
So beautiful and interesting to acknowledge. And I remember the first time when I came across this concept, and it just like blew my mind how different we all are.
Yes.
But just imagine, like
Yes.
for guys who are driving, just please probably don't do this right now, just keep listening, but you can do it and you can imagine, and then you can
Yes.
practice it when you are somewhere in a safe not driving situation or operating heavy machinery,
Yeah.
whatever that you're doing over there.
Yeah.
But just imagine like closing your eyes for those people who can do it, and just imagine where is your past, where is your future, and just show it out with your hands, right? So for whatever it is that is for you, I'm actually quite interested, Toni, what is it for you? And I'll tell you what's mine, so it's going to be a good example. Where is your past, where is your future?
My past is over the back of my head, behind me. Yeah.
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 Okay. Well, and that's so how cool it is, because mine is coming from left to right. So, and this is when you're
Ah.
going like from the back to front,
Yeah. So
whereas to
that's
me,
my past and that's
yeah,
my future.
amazing. So for me, it is like mine is linear, right? So it's from the left, this
Yes.
is the past, and then the
Yes.
future is going. So I'm kind of like, it seems like I am more at the moment. We also can say that I'm looking at my life in a more detached way, whereas you are living
Yes.
through your life at the moment. And again, it's not good or
Yeah.
bad. We
Yeah.
all have different perception of how it feels living through time. I'll even push
Mm.
it one step even ahead. Where is your now? So just show me where is, like, if you again close your eyes and if you
Right
think of
here.
where is in front of you.
Right here. Actually, through my core, from the top of my head right through to the soles of my feet. That's my now.
Nice. See, again, my now is not inside of me. It's so my timeline, and this is actually quite interesting observation just to understand. It's
Yes.
totally not
Fascinating.
in me. It's literally, it's right in front of me, and it's actually quite just right there. And this
Yeah.
is when we start playing with the timeline, right?
Yeah.
When we, so ultimately, the purpose of clearing of the now, as the name
Mhm. Mhm.
suggests, is to declutter it from so many things that don't belong there. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, the reason why we get anxiety and we're anxious and nervous and all of those negative things as a rippling down effect is when it's overcrowded and our brain can only perceive
Yes.
between 5 plus 7 pieces of information in order for the conscious mind to be actually you know comfortable. Because remember, we're quite
Yes.
lazy, and it's okay. Like and this is why we fall into fall into those routines and unhelpful habits, because if
Yes.
patterns of behavior, because we're
Yeah.
lazy. And as soon as you accept it, again, the 3 A's, right? The awareness, acceptance, and action.
Yes.
As soon as you accept it, that's when you actually are able to do something about it. Anyway,
Mm.
clearing of the now. So the technique starts, I even use it now on an everyday basis, just a part of my meditation, just to see of what's up and what's happening. And again, as I mentioned,
Mhm.
we are looking at timeline, right? So with the eyes
Yeah.
closed, when you're ready to do that, what you're doing, you're imagining your timeline. So you imagine
Yeah.
yours, I imagine mine, whatever it is, however it is going. And even guys, like this is what we've shared with Toni. This is my perception of timeline and Toni's perception of timeline, but you might have
Yes.
it absolutely different. I've had some, it was diagonal, it was, perpendicular. And this is when we
Yes.
start. Sometimes some people have their past in front of their now. But again, this is how we
Ah.
understand that we can do something about it. And this is, it means that you are just living in the past. So we need to reshuffle it with the powerful unconscious mind. So whatever it is, totally cool.
Right.
We for we're gonna bring up literally, even again with hands, it usually helps, like how big is your now? So you're gonna understand. So
Yes.
sometimes I'm actually curious, Toni. So show me with your hands, how big is your
Yeah.
now?
Um,
Be-
I actually see it in three-dimensional. I
Yeah.
see myself in a circle, and my now is a bright light piercing straight through my head down
Mm-hmm.
to my feet. Yeah. It
Interesting.
around me is
So,
circular.
mm-hmm. But if you were to show me in terms of the, like, I'm not sure if it's going up and down, how big is you now? Is it big? Is it small?
It kind of feels small, like
Okay.
uh, in diameter sense, the size of a 50-cent piece, but it's
Okay.
brilliant white light.
So interesting. So for me, and again, not good or bad, not comparing, well, just sharing, right? So mine is quite big
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
It's in front of me and it's quite
Yes.
big, I would say. So this is what it means that that's actually very good. And I've just had a realization myself because I haven't done this morning.
Yes.
So here you go. I'm quite grounded.
Okay.
I'm quite, despite the fact that I'm detached from my life, that's a whole different story of my life, living 1 hour at a time. We're going to tap into that a bit later. But literally, mine is quite big. And this is when you can start working with your time because perception of
Yes.
time. Sometimes if it's too small and then you don't have enough time to do stuff, you literally, with the power of your
Yes.
unconscious mind, you make it bigger. If it's too big and it's overwhelming and you would like for it to just, some of those moments and chapters of our life, you just want to live through them, just make it smaller, shrink it.
Yes.
Then this is when you
Yes.
play with your reality. And it sounds, if you have never tried it, just try it because it sounds a bit ridiculous, but it works. This is the beautiful,
No, I
the
was going to
beauty.
say I have done some of this stuff, Oksana, and I
Okay, nice.
absolutely agree with you about its positive impact. Just that
Yeah.
simple effort of recognizing where your timeline is, or how you visualize that, because it causes you to stop and think, and being that there's no right or wrong, and people being individual, it's actually a fascinating conversation to have with another person.
Absolutely. And this is when, again, so NLP is a form of psychotherapy. So, again, repeating myself,
Yes,
but the purpose of this exercise is to share tools, everyday tools that actually work,
that
right? And this
everyday
is how
people can use.
exactly. So when you are in control of your mind, you are in control of your emotions, actions, reactions, and ultimately the sequence of events that happens in life, right? So,
And it's
okay.
important at the moment, isn't it, Oksana? Like, it's so
Absolutely.
important to try some of these concepts because we are in unfamiliar territory and unfamiliar times. And it's not likely that we're going to go back to the normal that was before COVID.
Exactly.
There is not going to be that
What
same
is
normal.
normal? Yeah,
Mm.
totally.
Yeah.
So focusing on what we can control, right? Which is our own headspace
Yep.
and looking after it. So whenever we focus and we realize, just bring up your future. I mean, future. Wait, too early. You're now, and in the now, it was like I'm already jumping. We're still in the now, and what's happening in the now
Yes.
is just again with the powerful and your unconscious mind, just ask and see what's actually is in your now, all of those things and whatever that might be. So there might be, you'll start realizing that there are certain things that actually don't belong in the now at all. So you start putting
Right.
like with the like family with family, work with work, whatever it is, how it's compartmentalized, right? So I have bookshelves,
Yep.
I don't know, some people have files, some people have
Yes.
just like a more like an Excel spreadsheet, yeah, Excel
Yeah. Yeah.
spreadsheet
Yeah.
situation. So it's a mouthful. So whatever it is you have, perfectly great. So you start compounding those things together, but then
Mm-hmm.
you'll realize that there are certain things that actually don't belong in you now. There are certain things that happened 5 minutes ago. So it means that they are
Yes.
much better off in the past. Some of them happened 15 years
Yes.
ago and they're still in you now. They don't really belong here, do they? The same stuff, you're
No.
already thinking of what needs to be done at the grocery shop and, remember your mask and I need to pick up kids or whatever. It's not
Mm.
now. What's happening in this now moment for us, it's literally we're having this chat, right? That's it, nothing
On
else.
radio. Yeah.
Computer, that's it. And this is when you're slowly getting in control of all of those things. So literally with the powerful unconscious mind, drop all of those things that belong in the future, take them and drop them in the future. Everything that's in the past,
Yes.
take those things and drop them in the past.
Pop
And
them in the
start
past.
literally do this as many times as you need until you look at your now and it's beautiful and it's just in and out and it's whatever
Yes.
that is you're doing, that's when it is
Yeah.
in and out. So this is, we are clear in you now. So when that's done,
Yeah.
I would like for the next step would be to go into your future. And again, have a look
Uh-huh.
how are the things are actually organized there. And again, you'll see that it's nice to put like with the like, school with school, friends with friends, partners with partners, animals with animals. I don't know, like whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then again, you'll see maybe there is this thing that happened 25 years ago, and it's definitely not
Yes.
belonging in the future, right? Because it happened in the past. So take that stuff and put it in the past. You'll see that even the future can be, as we've just discussed, it can be the closer future,
Yeah.
can be the more
Yeah.
further future, but rearrange those things and put them, and again, have a look like when you think you're done and you're happy, have a look at your masterpiece, and if you're happy, you're feeling in control and you're feeling good, this is where it belongs. And then last
Yes.
but not least, we are going where you store your past. And the reason why we take and do past the last, because past is
Uh-huh.
past. It definitely is in the
You can't
past, and
change it.
it's exactly this is it is it's just it's not
It's
even
done.
it's not even the way we are looking at our past. It's more detached, right? So you don't even need to be there. You don't even need to feel the feels. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It doesn't create any resourceful state for you whatsoever. Again, having a look, what belongs in the past, how further in the past, how closer to now. Organize those
Yes.
things with the beautiful, powerful, unconscious mind. Allow
Mm.
yourself, because you can do anything, and it's your mind and it's your timeline. You can do what the fuck you want to do,
Yeah.
but just like do it
Yeah.
in the correct way of timeline. Past is past, as you said, Toni. It already happened. Future is future. It has not happened yet. What we have
Yeah.
is literally the present,
The now.
right?
Mm.
And that's it. And when you are done, and I don't know how long that took me to describe, but ultimately, the more you do it, the quicker you get at it, because it's literally like chun chun
Yes.
chun 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 chun, boom, done. Drop the mic. You're ready to go. You're
Yeah.
ready to go because
Yeah.
you are feeling in control and empowered. And ultimately, what it gives you, that sense of, again, being in control, and
Yes.
you are there is no need to be nervous or distracted or feeling anxiety,
Yeah.
because it's just not there anymore. Do you know why? Because again, mind body connection. When you are creating those routines with your mind, your physiology changes. Because the brain is not producing those hormones, there is no cortisol happening.
Yes.
There is no need to flight or fight mode. You are in control. And
Yes.
when you feel like this, can you imagine how much different you're going to be for yourself and those around you when you
Yeah.
go out there in
Yeah.
the wild? And again, this is like we take care of ourselves, guys. But ultimately, it's not just, well, okay, it's awesome to be selfish in an ecological way. But just think about it. We
Yes.
are humans. It's all about this compounding effect of energy. If you're having a much nicer day, and if you're not going to be mean to someone on the street, they are,
Yes.
you know what I mean? One
It
interaction at a time.
transfers. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is just one of the examples of state management. Very, very powerful. And
Yes.
again, it's just
Yes.
going back to that, checking in with yourself and checking in with your headspace and asking how you're
Yeah.
doing and what is that you can do about it. And
Mm.
just practice this. If it's works very well for me now in the mornings, used to be
Yes.
in the evenings when you cannot go to sleep, when there is something on your mind.
Yes.
Just do a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of reshuffle of the timeline, and that's it. And it's kind of like we're not erasing anything. It's still there. Like all of
No.
your life, all of those things you need to
Mm.
do, right? It's still going to be in the future, and it's okay. But
Yeah.
and you already know, and you set expectation of the timeline when that needs to be done, and that's when kind of we can slowly, very very nicely
Yeah.
um interconnect it with the planning stuff. So yeah, I hope that
And so
helps. Give it a go. Let us
so
know. I'm
Oksana
curious. Yeah.
so Oksana, when we're in uh, this world at the moment with so much going on, and these little techniques will help you to get that feeling of control back, that when everything else is
Absolutely.
spinning out of control, this simple technique will help you bring yourself back into control, reduce your anxiety, and assist you with showing up in a positive way in your life. Yeah.
Absolutely. As well as what just came to mind, it's again I think it's like that's the mantra for today's session. It's like we can't
Yeah.
control what we can't control, right? What we can control is our own headspace, and all of that,
Yeah.
perception of information and reality. Ultimately, you have your reality. Someone else has their reality, and what is happening, that
Yeah.
is real, right? But again, according to
Yeah.
whom? So
Yeah.
if something is creating pain for you, that's why what comes to mind as well. I don't know where this came from, but just came up. Like, it's okay to unfollow people
Yes.
in
Yes.
real life. If something that's not
Yes.
serving you good, well, fucking don't do it. Like, why would you do something?
Yeah.
Why are you torturing yourself? The same as with,
Yeah.
people and boundaries. I understand we all have families or
Yes.
friends, all of those things, but it's all about timing as well, and you need to take care of yourself. But what just came to
Yeah.
mind as well is a very, very simple technique that you can use. It's the power of reframe, right? And the
Yes.
reframe is
Yes.
so powerful. It's kind of like good old presupposition of NLP, of there is no failure, only feedback, right? Just think about it.
Yes.
You can crucify
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and this is coming from a Russian person raised in Russia by Russian parents. Trust me, I know
Yeah.
what it feels like. It's, higher, faster, stronger, and it's never freaking good enough.
Yes.
But when I've
Yes.
discovered this for myself, there is no failure, just feedback. This is what Richard Branson did. Literally, like, because there is
Yes.
no syndrome
Yes.
of failure, it's like, fuck it, I can do it again. Like, even if
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
something that works out straight away, there is no
Yeah.
hesitation and failure, and it's all in the headspace. So, the power of
Yes.
reframe. The power of
Mm.
reframe. There is the content and there is the context reframe. The content, it's
Yeah.
usually how, what else this could mean, like, not
Yeah.
why is this happening to me, but what is it trying to
Yes.
teach, right? And
Yeah.
obviously the
So
mm, go.
that whole reframe conversation is so important. So let's use COVID, for instance. And if you think about, oh my God, I'm in lockdown, I can't do this, I can't do that.
Mm.
Instead, you reframe it in terms of, okay, I can't go out. I can't do this. I can't do that. What can I do? Does that mean I catch up on decluttering that room that I never get time to do?
Bit of
Does
Mary
that mean
Kondo.
that yeah, yes,
Bit of Mary Kondo. Yeah.
good time for that. And it's
Well,
a
it's
good
also, though,
time
very
to,
quickly, sorry, just very
yeah,
quickly, it comes to mind, like Marie Kondo, but also, through COVID, we have so many amazing memes going around, and one of my favorite ones is
yes,
like, make sure that you are rearranging all of your shelves, but you're gonna run out of shelves eventually, and you'll need to feel your feelings. That's just on another kind of
yes,
layer to it, but
yes,
that's
yes,
okay,
yes,
totally fine. Yeah.
yeah. And it is a good time. Like, we've been so busy leading up to this time. Now's the time to take a breath and reevaluate things. What's serving your life well? What's not working for you? And how you change that going forward. These are important things in helping you live your best life. And if you're in business, what a powerful time to sit back and think, okay, well, maybe this is how I have to do business for an extended period of time. What does that look like? What can I do? And you've got the time to reframe it. Haven't you, Oksana?
Absolutely. And it's just, again, we're so busy doing, it seems like we're
Yeah.
human doing, not human beings. And it's
Yes.
all, yes, it sucks that we can't, by the way, if you haven't
It
noticed, but like, I am very, very kinesthetic. So when I'm not seeing
yes.
people, my inner kinesthetic is slowly dying, and it's not a very nice feeling.
Yes.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
though, it gives us opportunity to focus on exactly what you're saying. What can be done
Yeah.
differently? What is that
Yes.
it was not working for us? Because do you know what? How it used to be, like, it's not okay. Like, now it's not okay for
Yes.
sure. But what, like, the way we
Yeah.
used to be, what we used to call the norm. No, it's not. Like,
Yes.
people are just absolutely with the, it's a blessing and a curse with technology. When it works is great,
Yes.
but also when it works, there is
Yes.
so much expectation because everything is done so quickly, and there is not enough
Yeah.
appreciation for anything, really. And
Yeah.
that's why it just gives us this opportunity to, again, reframe all of the life if you choose to. If you don't, that's absolutely fine too. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of what is it that happening with you now, what is serving you and what is not. Just like start with
Mhm,
something very
mhm.
simple, you know. And then
Yes.
again, focusing on what we can control and cannot control. As soon as I started implementing this, again, NLP presupposition of we can't control what we can't control, just
Yes.
everything, it's the power of letting go, you know, that is so,
Yes.
again,
Yes.
for focusing on big things, because as we all know, all big things consist of little small bites. That's how we eat an
They
elephant.
do.
But
Yes.
it's just, what is it?
Metaphorically, we're not actually eating an elephant.
That's right. Yeah. Sorry, guys. It's just a little metaphor. How do you eat an elephant? One small piece at bite at a time. But just focusing on your values and beliefs. How cool it will be just to tap into yourself and ask, what is it that I actually like? Like, when was the last time? Do you even know
Mm,
yourself? When was the last time you had a good
mm.
constructive conversation with yourself? What is it actually that I like? What makes me happy? What excites me? What floats my boat? You know, just
Yes.
even getting to know yourself. Like, do you know yourself? Who are you in the sense of identity? What is your business? What is your why? Are you aligned
Yes.
with your why and your why for your business? That are you doing? What are you
Mhm.
doing? What actually keeps
Mhm.
you going every morning? Or is it something that or is it just what are they called? Hedgehog day? It's not a hedgehog, greyhog day.
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. Well, see, now I've created a new one. We're gonna call it a Hedgehog Day. I like
Oh,
that. That's
hedgehogs
gonna
are
be
so cute.
well, here you go. This is welcome to the English is my second language. But so yeah, um, so many things, and it's just, and this is even with the self-discovery process, right? There are so many things that, and it
Yes.
can get overwhelming. But just listen to yourself, listen to your body. Only you know yourself. Only you know what you want and what you need and what works. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
having, even starting that constructive conversation with yourself. Again,
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
It's how do you not only talk to other people around you, but how do you talk to yourself? Are you nice to yourself? Or
Yes.
are you being a bully? Well, how is that internal
Mm.
dialogue going today, for instance? All of those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. 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 It's really important to think about what floats your boat, as Oksana's just said, because once you're doing things that float your boat, be that in personal life or in business, it has a compoundingly wonderful impact on you and your life
Mm,
because you are doing something that you feel passionate about. And when you're doing something that you feel passionate about, you become the best version of yourself. And this is a unique opportunity for human beings to do some of that tough stuff and to not whinge about not being able to go out or having to wear a mask or uh, whatever it is that is upsetting you at the moment. That opportunity to reframe has never been greater than it is at the moment. And I feel that the world will be moving forward in a different way in the future. And that's a good thing. And I think that if you don't take the time to do some of these things, that you'll be left behind, so to speak. I think that for many people who are doing the work on themselves in their businesses, they will strive for higher things as we go forward.
mm,
And that, again, that conversation about tapping in to who you are, what you're doing, what makes you happy is incredibly important. And then taking it forward into your business. What are you doing? How are you doing it? How are you showing up in life? Is what you're doing in business congruent with who you are? Does it resonate with you? If not, perhaps look at doing something different or in a different way. Yeah?
mm. Totally. And that's even kind
Yeah.
of like what a good way to, I think it kind of makes sense, especially what you've mentioned, you know, tapping into yourself and listening to yourself and actually understanding that there are so many different parts to you, right? But as soon
Yeah.
as you
Yeah.
acknowledge these parts, and that's, you understand that all of those parts are there for a reason, and ultimately the reason
Yeah.
why they're parts, because
Yeah.
they used to be one, right? And then it kind of, they
Yes.
broke off just because they take
Yeah.
care of different things, right? And as soon as, just again, you don't know what you don't know, but as soon as you start
Mm.
creating that awareness, you start that conversation with internal dialogue with all of those parts, that's when we
Yeah.
can feel in control by planning something for the future, for your personal life
Mm.
as well as for
Mm.
business, right? But it all starts, as we all know, it all
Yeah.
starts with an idea. Much, always, as I say, it's better out than in, because as soon as it's
Yes.
still in there, it's just a fantasy. We can
Yeah.
fantasize about so many things.
Yeah.
When it starts to become a reality, when we start putting meat, on bones, right, and we make it so visual and so appealing that that's actually how manifestation works ultimately, right? When
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you just imagine you create your reality. But I would like to mention, because I would like to share this concept as well as another NLP tool,
Yes.
and it's called
Yeah.
Walt Disney Planning Strategy. And
Yes.
it is being used by the Walt Disney, the cartoon that
Yeah.
I can't say. I think when I say the cartoonist guy, it's just like diminishing his vastness of what he's been doing, huh? But like
Well, he
the
did
Walt
start with
Disney,
cartoons, so that's okay.
yeah, but Walt Disney, right? So
Yes.
ultimately the way, and this is why it works again with NLP, because it's not rocket science, and the way it was
Mhm.
developed, it
Mhm.
was from modeling behaviors of people that worked and were resourceful, right? So this
Uh-huh.
planning
Yes.
process, he acknowledged the fact that there are three parts to him, right? So the way, like whenever
Yes.
he would be planning for the future or thinking or strategy, there will be a dreamer,
Yes.
there will be a
Yes.
realist, and there will be
Yes.
a critic. But very,
Uh-huh.
very important to identify with the critic situation that
Yes.
not a bully, constructive criticism, right? So
Okay.
that voice of, so a dreamer is basically, it's the one that you would bring up. What is it that you want? Very visual. It's a future. It's a long term. It's the language. It's all about, almost like, ask yourself a question. If you had a magic wand and you could have anything, what would that be?
What would you
So
like?
just go,
Yeah.
yeah, just go crazy, big.
Crazy.
However insane it might sound, again, according to whom, no one is judging. Just go nuts,
That's right.
enjoy yourself and
Yeah.
create that vision. And then basically what you do,
And
you're tapping in.
I was just going to say that's where the process of vision boarding comes in.
Right, that's
And
right.
that process of going through magazines and cutting out photos of things that are important to you that you would like in your life or that you see in your future. That's the dreaming portion of the Disney strategy. Yeah.
That's right. Yep, it's very visual. You can implement. It's a part of it as a vision board, because what
Yes.
comes next is then we are talking to our realist, and the realist is the guy that basically gets shit done, right? So it's bring it
Yes.
back to the ground, and it's all about bullet points. It's all about very, very kinesthetic, very action. What is it? How? Right? So,
Yes.
and again,
Yes.
this is compared to the dreamer, it's very short term orientated, right? So we're focusing
Uh-huh.
on what needs to be done now to get to where the dreamer wants to go.
Wants to
So
be. Okay.
when that's done, last but not least, very, very important that they understand that they all work together. But we are having a chat to our
Mm-hmm.
constructive critic. And do you know when the dialogue is starting to become very interesting is when you ask your internal constructive critic to what
Yes.
questions do you have to the dreamer? And you ask and you write those questions down. And then when you
Uh-huh.
have a list, you basically ask your dreamer, how would this be? How is this possible? How is this will be done? You will be fascinated what sort of answers you're gonna come back with.
Uh-huh.
Because when you're
Uh-huh.
in state of that dreamer, you are focusing on your bigger why, and it's all about that meaning and
Yes.
congruency and beliefs. It means
Yes.
something so much more. It's not that you want, I don't know, whatever that is that you want. There is something, the meaning behind it is just much more
Uh-huh.
deeper than something on the surface.
Uh-huh.
And then again, when they've
Mhm.
had this chat and the answers were answered and your constructive critic is happy and satisfied, that's when you again
Are
bring
they
it back.
ever happy and satisfied?
You do this exercise until there are no more questions left. And that's the beauty of it.
Okay.
You're doing this a few times, and then you're
Yes.
basically, uh, again, you are getting to the point of not very, it's from experience, not always it's only one session, but I usually
Yes.
use this technique in a way of my job, again, as a facilitator, to explain it to you. And we do it a couple of times, however many questions rounds we need. And then if you feel that you are aware and you are able to do this on your own, then that's it. That's my job is
Off you
done.
go. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's how you do it.
Yeah.
This is such a great tool to use as New Year's resolutions, but the ones that we just kind
Yes,
of never
yes.
do. So if you reframe New Year's resolutions into something much more constructive, like the Disney planning
Right.
strategy, and you can revisit it, I don't know, maybe, well, once every quarter would be epic, but just to be reasonable, because even I don't do it. I don't know why. I'm lazy.
Yes.
It's okay. We're all lazy. Twice a year, I think that's pretty good, no? So you do it
Okay.
kind of, your new
Yeah.
version of the New Year's resolutions, and then you're checking in mid-year to see how you're doing.
Yes.
But again, it's kind of like we need to track your progress. We need to track. You need to
Yes.
track your progress. We
Yes.
can help you, but you need to track your progress. Do you know why? It's going to just blow your mind. It's so simple, because when you are in control, and it gives you security, and you
Yes.
feel, especially with what's
Yes.
happening outside, so many things we
Uh-huh.
cannot control outside, but when you bring it back
Mhm.
to things what you can control, and you're in control of your life, and that's what's going to happen.
Yes.
So here you go.
Yeah.
This is the Disney planning strategy. There is another very, very easy concept. It's called well-formed outcome.
Yes.
I'm a little bit aware of time. So
Yeah.
it's the difference is just basically 9 very basic steps. And again, if you guys are
Yes.
interested, shoot us through an email, and I'll
An
hook
email.
you up with, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just talk too much. I just love talking so much, but and then time
That's the
escapes.
that's the whole reason we have you on the show, Oksana, is so that
Yay!
you can tell people
Amazing.
from your wealth of experience and knowledge how some simple tactics and can help you in life. And just before we get on to the next section, I just want to remind people that you can connect with Oksana. It's oxanajohnson.com, and her email is oksana@oxanajohnson.com. And she
Actually,
will
hello.
walk you and you want
Hello, it's
hello at
Oksana.
Oksana.
Yep,
Okay. Hello
yep.
at oxanajohnson.com. Um, she can talk you through these processes if you've missed what we've said on the show, and she can help you to implement some of these things in your life through a conversation or a longer coaching program. She's available to help you with this stuff. So, in talking about the Disney strategy, I've just looked at my notes and thought the dreamer is considered the person who looks to the future. The realist is considered the person who is in the here and now, and the critic tends to be in the past. Is that a
It's
good way of
both.
looking at that
No.
strategy?
I don't
Yeah,
think it's in the
okay.
past, because past is past. We can't do anything about the
Yes.
past. So it's
Uh-huh.
critic is more. It's focused on. It's kind of like it's both. It's future and the
Okay.
present as well. So and
Okay,
that's
cool.
why all of those questions, they can
Are important.
it's kind of like how it looks and what needs to be
Yes.
clarified. I don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think in the planning, past as such, not in this particular exercise. Past, that
Strategy.
is
Yeah,
something
okay.
strategy. That's right. Yeah. So we're kind of focusing on
Okay.
the.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last thing that we wanted to talk about today, I'm going to let you go so that you can have the full floor.
Hmm. It's just ultimately I wanted to touch base, kind of in an addition of the presuppositions of NLP, right? And what are they like?
Yes.
What they are? Again, they're kind of like, I can't really say axiom. Is that, am I pronouncing that correctly? Like in the geometry, there is this statement, right? That's kind of that's
Axis.
always that's always right. Axioma. I don't know. Anyway, it's just basically
Yeah.
the way to reframe it. It's the way of thinking, right? And I've
Yes.
used a couple, and ultimately some of them, the way that I implemented in my life, they were little
Yeah.
intentions, right? So again, things
Uh-huh.
that we can control, and even tapping back into that state management. When when you've done your routine and whatnot, just set a couple of
Yes.
intentions. How is it that you would like to show up for yourself today? And this is so
Mm-hmm.
important, because let's not confuse intentions with to-do lists. You know, it's not like you need to go grocery
Yes.
shopping, you know, do something. It's all about how. Like, ask this question of
Yes.
how would you like to be? How would you like to show up for yourself? For instance, what helped me, because as soon as you create intention and you write it down, I mean, let's not get crazy. You don't need
Yes.
10. Just do 3, do 2, do 1. Focus on something. If it helps, even set it up on your phone reminders. Because as soon as you create awareness again around this area,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
mindfulness. You're going to bring unconsciously, with the power of unconscious mind, it's going to be there and you're
Yes.
going to be
Yes.
noticing different. So for instance, it really helped me with patience, because apparently I have
Yes.
patience of a rattlesnake. Used to.
Oh, me
Now it's,
too. I'm so
yeah.
impatient.
Yeah. Well, and this is when, as soon as you set that intention of how would you like to be, and just say how it is. So instead of being impatient, what would you be?
Yes.
For me, it would be just calm and collected, right? And just accept
Ah,
that,
yeah.
again, like whatever is happening, if it's not coming from me and I can't control it, like what's the point of wasting my energy on negative emotions,
Energy.
right?
Yeah.
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 So the intention, and this is when, even on the back of the intentions, I've used quite a few NLP presuppositions, right? And what they are, it's just a
Yes.
phrase, right? So the way that they came up with it is just, they were, again, modeling other work of other professionals at the
Yes.
time, who were quite successful, as we've
Mhm.
just passed.
Yeah.
And they came up with these conclusions. It's like a drop of knowledge, you know, it's just like a drop of
Yes.
awareness. And when you need to
Yes.
retouch with yourself and touch base with mindfulness, for instance, one of my favorite ones is, and it's so applicable what's happening now, the menu is not
Yeah.
the meal, the map is not the territory. Just listen to this, like,
Ah,
map is not the territory, because ultimately what
yeah.
it means is that we can see, it's all about those expectations. But what actually is going to happen might be completely different. And as soon as you
Yes.
remind yourself, the good old I mentioned today with Richard Branson, there is no failure,
Yes.
only feedback. There is
Yeah.
no failure, only feedback. If I knew
Mm.
this 20 years ago, my
Yes.
life would
Yes.
be
Yes.
different, let me tell you, because there
Yes.
was so much
Yes.
pressure, not necessarily even from external pressure, but like that internal dialogue was
Self
insane.
pressure. Yes.
Exactly. And it's
Definitely.
always just, we're forgetting to acknowledge, you know, well, ultimately, you know, if we're not surgeons, right? And it's like,
No.
if everyone is in an ecological relationship with themselves and those around you, and even if it's not,
Mhm.
very good metaphors as well, the way it works, like we've always known this, when one door closes another one opens, right? It's only
Yes.
about
Yes.
actually allowing yourself to believe in it. And when you are
Yes.
congruent within yourself, that's when the energy flows. Even just like, imagine when you, whatever, I don't know, when you didn't get a job that you wanted. Well,
Yeah.
let me give you an example. I have one right here.
Yeah.
Like, it's me.
Yeah.
I remember back in corporate days that I would just go through job to job because I hated, I was very good at what I did, but I
Ah,
did not enjoy
yes.
what I did. And I would be jumping from jobs to jobs. And then ultimately, when I didn't even get a job, I felt gutted. But now I understand, if only someone told me that, well, it's not what I was supposed to be doing anyway, because I was just going
Yeah.
through the
Yeah.
motions and it was my journey
Yeah.
and my story. But if only I knew that, again, failure, there is no failure, only feedback. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Another very interesting concept, what I always say, is that, we've kind of flicked it in terms of the reality, right? So you have your
Mhm. Mhm.
reality, I have my reality, and there is actually what is real. Just remember that we experience things so different
Differently.
based on our own past experiences and life and culture and languages and where we live and all of those
Yeah.
things, all of those memories. Again, like, the same situation is going to be lived in a whole different way. I think that is a very beautiful,
Yes.
I think I've reposted it as well. It's like, just remember that 7 billion people experience today in a whole different way. Like, literally,
Yes.
whatever happened
Yes.
is just about the perception, right?
Yeah.
And kind of last, I think that will be a pretty good one as well. Just remember that
Mm.
the purpose of the communication is the response you get, right? So
Yes.
when we
Yes.
communicate, we need to understand that what we're going to receive back is not going to be necessarily what we want it to be, right? And again, it's
Yeah.
because we cannot control other people. And as soon as
No.
we allow and as soon as we accept them for who they are and that they have their
Yeah.
model of the world, it's just
Yes.
their model of the world. How easy
Mm-hmm.
life just becomes, because all of those,
It does.
I don't know, rejections or no shows or whatever. It's just like, it's actually
Yeah.
not, or people are being rude on public transport. It's not about you, it's
Yeah.
about them. It's
It's
just,
about them.
again,
Mm.
what a great way to just, kind of sum up everything, that ultimately we can't control what we can't
Yes.
control. Seriously, this is literally the mantra for today. We cannot control what we cannot.
Absolutely.
What we can control is
And
just our own
and it's a
actions, behaviors.
yeah. Yeah. We
Simple,
can't
drop the mic.
humanity can't control things like COVID. We can try, and we may get to a point where it's managed, but it's something that it's out of our everyday control, isn't it?
Mm. Well, it's
And
something so much bigger. There are so many
yes,
questions of as to why.
yes,
But again, it's kind of
yes,
like remembering how I was miserable trying to understand why are we here. I don't
yeah,
know. Like, I think I figured it out it for myself. If you need some help figuring out
yes,
why you are here, I'm happy to chat.
yes. Oksana's
Again,
really good at helping you figure out what your passion is, what you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do. All of those things Oksana can help you with in life and in business as well. And for me, I'm being reminded that it, it's the current situation with the virus. Again, we can't control that, but we can control how we react to that. And if we react in a way that says, oh, I'm never going to wear a mask, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to isolate, who's that hurting? You.
well, exactly. I think it's also it depends about intentions of why you're doing what you're doing. Um,
Yeah.
you need to feel, you need to listen to yourself, and this is when going back to that state management, tap in and listen to what it
Yes.
is, right? But ultimately, as we've quickly before we even started the program, I was just sharing with Toni
Yeah.
that I got a mask just because there are so many. It's almost like it's starting to get to the point of we need to coexist in this world, right? And it's all about
Yes.
flexibility. So if it
Yes.
doesn't really hurt for you,
Resilience.
exactly, it doesn't really hurt for you to wear a mask, does it? But then
It
if it's
doesn't.
someone, it's just something that, welcome to the new normal, whatever it is. I'm still not
Mm.
even sure if it's going to be really, truly protecting me from something. But if it's going to,
Yeah.
result in a better mental state for myself and people around me, then
Yes.
fuck it. Let's do it. It
Yes.
doesn't hurt. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then again, like continuously, especially now, I'll again share my mantra with you guys. It's like one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time. If you need to,
Yes.
put in those little reminders on your phone just to remember to
Yeah.
breathe. Yeah, just
Yes.
how are you?
Breathing is very important. Very important. And with on that note, we are out of time, and this show has gone completely
Again.
quickly yet again, which is wonderful. Don't forget, before we go, to contact Oksana. Hello at oxanajohnson.com. She's on LinkedIn and Facebook as Oksana Johnson Mindset Coach. And she will be happy to do a free session with you if you need to, and if you want to talk to her about anything that we've brought up in the show today. I encourage you to jump on and have a talk to Oksana and see if you can use this time that you've been given, and it is a gift, to get yourself and your business back on track and heading towards where you want to go. So next week we will be back at the same time with Oksana Johnson. Thank you everyone for listening today. This is your host Toni Lontis and Oksana Johnson. Thank you for joining Radio Toni this week, and we look forward to a further conversation next week. Bye for now, everyone.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Radio Toni Every Day Business, and I've been joined this week by my co-host Oksana Johnson. Don't forget, jump on to Oksana's website, oxanajohnson.com. Thank you for listening this week, and we look forward to joining you next week with more information on everyday business. Radio Toni. This is your host, Toni Lontis.